So how much of this report did we actually see? Well, very little. In all, 93% of the Senate report summary was released, with only 7% redacted, but that is just the summary. The actual 6,700-page, $40 million report will not be seen by the public. The Senate report says that enhanced interrogation, waterboarding of Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, or the extreme interrogation of Abu Ghraib did not provide any useful intelligence, and yet Zubaydah's torture was so severe that the report says it brought CIA agents to tears and choking up when recalling it, and that the CIA planned to cremate his body if he died while in custody. I spoke earlier with author and National Security and Human Rights Director Jesselyn Radack and began by asking her about torture not leading to actionable intelligence.
Well, I think that is absolutely correct. Not only was there no actionable intelligence gained from waterboarding Abu Ghraib more than 100 times, 183 times, I believe, but there was no actionable intelligence gained, period, from these torture techniques, which is amazing because apologists for the torture report still continue to say that we were able to save lives.
Well, they're saying it today. I mean, the CIA has already responded with its own minority report saying that enhanced interrogation or torture provided actionable intelligence. Senate Republicans, all with the exception, I think, of Susan Collins, came out today saying, no, in fact, yes, we were able to protect American lives and get useful intelligence out of this. Is this a matter of simply taking that information and throwing it out there and saying there's a certain segment of the population who wants to believe this, therefore we're going to say it and they'll believe it?
I think if you look at the people who are doubting the validity of this report, they are people ranging from CIA directors like Tenet and Hayden and McLaughlin and Kappas, people who have a vested interest in keeping this program secret, and people who were also complicit in keeping this program secret. So there are a number of people who have their ulterior reasons for trying to say this report is not on point.
And let's not forget that the CIA actually hacked into Senate computers 4 times to view the report before it was released. They were so concerned about the information.
Yes, CIA spied on it, and they lied about their spying on the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence in trying to figure out what this report was going to say. And they had a large hand in doing a lot of those redactions, as did the White House in the brief, watered-down 500-page or so version that we had got today.
That's right. Something that else jumped out to me here was that the report cites this internal CIA memo. It relayed instructions from the White House to keep the program secret from then U.S. Secretary of State Colin Powell, saying that he would, quote, blow his stack if he was briefed on what was going on here. Former Vice President Dick Cheney himself had not read the report prior to today, but he was already coming out against it this weekend. He was pushing back against the idea that the president did not know, saying this, quote, I think it's all just a bunch of hooey. The program was authorized. The agency did not want to proceed without authorization, and it was also reviewed legally by the Justice Department before they undertook the program. Was it Cheney who knew what was happening, or do you believe what he's saying there, that no, the administration was aware of this and the Senate report is giving them more credit than they deserve?
You know, I think regardless of which side you believe, it looks bad either way. Either the president and the White House executive branch and Justice Department knew about it and were complicit in these crimes against humanity and war crimes and Eighth Amendment violations and international treaty violations, or they didn't know. Either way, it looks really bad. So in this back and forth between whether or not Cheney and crew want to own it or not, I mean, you have to look at the underlying issue and what we're talking about.
So it's important to also mention that this report covers these black site prisons. It does not include Abu Ghraib. It does not include Guantanamo Bay, correct?
That's right. It is very limited to the black sites. It does not interview CIA agents who are involved in the program. It does not interview victims. It covers the black sites and does not touch on Abu Ghraib, Guantanamo, or a lot of other torture that occurred around the world, as well as here in the United States to terror captives.
Senator Mark Udall, who will be out of office in a few weeks, he lost his re-election bid. He's on the Senate Intelligence Committee, and he said this to Esquire magazine, saying, quote, I have made it clear over the last couple of weeks that if the report is not declassified in a way that's transparent and shines a bright light on what what we did, then I will consider using all and any options. So I wanted to ask you in our last about minute here, what do you think that would look like, and what would be the consequence of a former senator coming out and saying, here's more information that was not released?
I think that could very much be a consequence and should be a consequence in the case of secret surveillance and the revelations of Edward Snowden. I think Mark Udall could read from the floor of the Senate, read revelations into the congressional record, and that would be following in the footsteps of Mike Gravel and would be a very brave move. And luckily, this report did come out, which gives him more freedom to do such a thing with regard to the warrantless wiretapping and electronic surveillance.
That was National Security and Human Rights Director Jesselyn Radack.